So let's start. Welcome everyone to the Salenda track. This is the second talk given by Salenda team here in this track. So let's speak about Codenarc. Let Codenarc check if you write good code. I'm Alberto de Ávila. This is my Twitter. If you want to put some tweets, please mention me. I'm a software engineer. I'm working in Salenda as a team lead, and I've been working with Groovy Grails more than 7 years. You know that Salenda is one of the partners here in Greach. So if you want some help or collaborators, you need training, please contact us. So let's start with the goals of this talk. The main objectives of the use of Codenarc are to write better code, of course. Always writing better code is a good thing. Learn good practices, programming with Groovy. Use only one code style criteria because sometimes the projects are big and there are too many workers and programmers inside. Fix code errors because with Codenarc we can fix code errors before deploy in production the applications. Try to not repeat code, following the don't repeat yourself philosophy, and apply the clean code culture. So, what we are going to see in this talk. What's Codenarc the first time? Why should you use Codenarc? What are the rules and what rules do we have with Codenarc? How to config Codenarc in a Grails 3 project, on how to create a custom rule. So, what's Codenarc? Codenarc is an static code analysis tool for Groovy, and that means that only a static code can be analyzed. If you write, or if you, for example, invoke a method dynamically, it will not analyze by Codenarc. Okay? It's a tool similar like Checkstyle for Java programming. It's open source, so you can contribute. You can check coding standards and best practices in Groovy programming language. This tool is very flexible because you can use only a specific rule or an entire rule set, or even create custom rules that you want to apply in a specific project or with your team. And you can generate an HTML or XML report with the failures of your project. So what can Codenarc analyze? It can analyze defects, bad practices, inconsistencies, style issues, and many other things. Why should you use Codenarc in all of your projects? You have to use Codenarc because as I said before, in a project works many programmers, and each person has different style programming. So it's a very bad practice to see in a project different ways to programming, so different architectures or different naming or something like that. Another thing is that not all best practices are known because all of here learn Groovy reading or writing, but sometimes we forget that the things that we do for a long time maybe are not good things. So with this tool we will learn some best practices. Another thing is that programmers need tools to check its work. Not only with tests we can check our work, because sometimes we need to write documentation in our methods or use good variable names or something like that. And this tool can be very useful. As I said before, with the flexibility of Codenarc, the team can define the rules to apply in our project. And you will be able to improve your project in many ways. So let's start speaking about the rules. And what's a rule? A rule, in my own words, is a function that looks at our code to check if it meets some conditions. And what does this mean? That our code is scanned in search of bad practices, errors, and other things. And what's a rule set? A rule set is a group of rules of the same type. Following, we will see the different rule sets that Codenarc has. Codenarc includes more than 350 rules, split in 22 rule sets, but you can contribute with new ones in the repo on GitHub. And what kind of rules are defined inside Codenarc? For example, a few ones. We have the basic rule set that checks for empty blocks, classes, or many other things, basic things. The don't repeat yourself rule set that search for repeated data like strings, numbers, lists, or maps that can be refactored to a variable. Exceptions that cares about good practices in the use of exceptions. Formatting that take care of the appearance of the code, and the Grails rule set that alert us about bad practices, for example, in injecting a service in a domain class. Okay. More rules. The Groovyism rule set that check that several rules of good practices with Groovy are met. The JUnit rule set that contains many rules, but not only the JUnit framework, also the Spock framework rules are here. About naming, this rule set can check the class and file names to ensure that they follow a standard pattern, but we can configure the pattern to use in these names. The size rule set that monitor the method's length and the class's length to alert us if a method or a class are too large. And the Unused rule set that show us Unused variables or methods. But there are more rules: braces, concurrency, convention, design. If you want to know more about what contains that rule set, you can go to the official doc to see what rules contains. Okay. So what about rules configuration? In the rule configuration, we can configure it by two ways. In a common way and in a particular way. The common way you can do enabling or disabling a specific rule. You can apply a rule to a specific class or a specific class's names, or not to apply to a specific class names. Like, for example, do not apply the size rule to the methods inside the test. And you can change the priority of the rule to increase it or decrease it. But you can configure rules, particularly, for example, as I said before, changing the regex to check a class name, for example. The particular configuration are documented in the official documentation, so you can go to there and check if exists a particular configuration for any rule. So how can we configure it in a Grails 3 project? The first thing that you have to know is that Codenarc it's a Gradle plugin. So you have to apply the Codenarc plugin and define this configuration, the version of the Codenarc to use, where will be the file, the rules file located, the report format in HTML or XML, and if we want to ignore the failure. This configuration means that if we have violations, when we make a build, the build will fail, ¿vale? Okay, so if you want to your build failed, you want to put the ignore failures to false. So what does the rules file contains? It contains the rule or rule sets to apply. In this example, I'm defining that I want to apply only the basic, the braces, and the Grails rule set. And then the only thing that I have to do is to execute the check Gradle command, and a report will be generated in only a few seconds. If you open the report, you will find something like that, specifying the file and the errors found inside this file. How to create custom rules? To define a custom rule, the first thing that you have to do is to create an XML file where you will define the name of your rule set and the rules that your rule set will apply. In this example, is a custom rule set that contains a new rule called Grails transactional rule. Then you have to create a new class called that extends abstract AST visitor rule. And inside this class, you will define the priority, the name of the rule, and the class that will be executed to check your rule. And then create this class. As you can see in the code, this class also extends an abstract AST visitor and contains a method inside with code inside that checks if the transactional annotation is good, has a good use, because sometimes we import the incorrect transactional package. So if you want to create a custom rules, there are a few steps more to do, because you have to create another Gradle plugin, installs the plugin, the Codenarc plugin inside this project, and then import this new project inside your project. But if you want to do that, you have to go to the Grails guide created by Ivan. Inside you can find the repo and a complete guide to create a custom rule. So in conclusion, Codenarc is a very, very easy tool, and it's very, very easy to configure it in your project. It shows us a lot of information. So this is important to know if we are doing well. You can customize the rules to apply in your project and decide with your team if apply a specific rule or rule set. You can create your own rules if you think that a rule is missing. It helps you to maintain a unified code style, and you should use it. But be careful when you use for the first time in a medium or large project. It will appear thousands or millions of errors. So be patient. Look each one. Spend some time to fix it, and disable some rules that you think that you don't want to apply, and then enjoy the powerful of Codenarc. Here you have more information. You have the Grails guide URL, the Codenarc official doc, where you can see all the rules explained. And the Codenarc repo, if you want to contribute with new rules or improve the doc. And that's all I have to say. Thank you very much, and I hope you enjoy this talk. If you have any question, no sé. Qué cabrón.
Do you guys in Salenda have like a company specific rule set that you use all the time?
No, we have a specific. He asked that if in Salenda we have a common rules to apply in all of projects. No, we have different applications with different Grails versions and with different styles, code criteria, and old projects, legacy, etc. We have a specific file for each project because not all the
Do you remember from the top of your head some of the rules that you always disable?
I think that
If you don't, it's okay.
I remember 2 or 3 that, for example, the string, the repeated name, it's a common rule that we used to disable because it shows us a lot of violations, but sometimes don't apply because of messages or something like that. I don't remember anymore, but there are a few that we disable. Any more questions?
Anyone else?
Nope. Thank you very much.
Thank you.